Because there has been so much misinformation swirling around, I want to share 10 facts about Charlie Kirk's murder. This is based on information that Utah officials and law enforcement have communicated to the public. And then I'll discuss 4 false claims about Charlie Kirk and his death. First fact: Charlie Kirk was a conservative political activist who was shot and killed at Utah Valley University on September 10th while speaking at an event called the American Comeback Tour. Number 2, the shooter is 22-year-old Tyler Robinson and has been arrested and charged with Kirk's murder. Number 3, Tyler Robinson's father recognized his son in the pictures shared by Utah authorities and encouraged his son to turn himself in, but Tyler refused. Number 4, his father persuaded him to speak with his youth minister, and it was the youth minister who ultimately made the call to the authorities. Number 5, Robinson's parents are registered Republicans according to public records. And according to a family member, his entire family are Republican voters who support Donald Trump. Number 6, Robinson was a registered nonpartisan, which means he was not affiliated with any political party. Number 7, the bullet shells had inscriptions on them that reflected anti-fascist terminology. One of those terms is Bella Ciao. This was the name of an Italian song that became a symbol of the Italian resistance movement that fought against the Nazi occupation of Italy during World War II. Number 8, the Utah governor confirmed that Tyler Robinson's roommate has been incredibly cooperative with the authorities. He also confirmed that Robinson and his roommate were in a romantic relationship and that his roommate is transgender. Number 9, a text message exchange between Robinson and his roommate was shared with law enforcement, and those messages clearly demonstrate that his roommate had no idea that Robinson was planning to kill Charlie Kirk. Number 10, Utah authorities have yet to pinpoint an exact motive of Tyler Robinson, though it's been suggested that Robinson was against Charlie Kirk's political views and the way he expressed them. In one of the text messages to his roommate following the murder, Tyler Robinson told his roommate why he killed Charlie Kirk. Robinson wrote, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." I want to repeat that Utah authorities have confirmed that Robinson's roommate had no idea about the assassination plot against Charlie Kirk. If a news network or political commentator makes a vocal public assertion about his roommate that is contrary to this fact, they have committed slander. If they make this assertion in writing, they've committed libel. Both slander and libel are against the law and invite the possibility of a defamation lawsuit. Now I want to address 4 false claims surrounding Charlie Kirk's murder. The first false claim is that Tyler Robinson was a liberal Democrat. Some conservative and right-leaning news commentators and podcasters have either stated this explicitly or implied it. As I already stated, Tyler Robinson was a registered nonpartisan. If you're new to that term, as I said before, a nonpartisan means you are not affiliated with any political party. That doesn't mean you don't have political views. There are lots of reasons why someone may register as a nonpartisan. Sometimes it's because they have some views that align with Republican Party policies, and sometimes they have views that align with Democratic Party policies. In other words, they aren't strictly conservative on every issue or strictly liberal on every issue. They agree with policies from both conservatives and liberals. Sometimes a person registers as a nonpartisan because they want to assert their independence. As we all know, identifying with any political party carries with it unwanted political baggage. However, we don't know why he was registered as nonpartisan. We can speculate, but we don't know. However, that doesn't mean we don't know anything about his political background or the environment he grew up in. Tyler Robinson was raised in a deeply conservative environment. All his family and relatives are Republican voters and supporters of Donald Trump. He also lived in a traditionally red state. There are Democratic and independent voters, to be sure, in Utah, but there is a strong influence of conservative Republican politics. This fact seems to be almost entirely ignored by a large number of conservative and right-leaning social media personalities and news networks like Fox News and Newsmax. Some of Robinson's views had been changing. According to his mother, his views on gay and trans rights had changed in recent years. And clearly, he was in a relationship with a trans person who is biologically male. That doesn't make him a Democrat, but obviously it means his particular view of gay and trans rights is much closer to Democratic policy than Republican policy. But this doesn't discount the possibility and probability that Robinson also still had some of the conservative and political views he was raised with. My point is this: if you say he was a Democrat or liberal, it immediately ignores and deflects away from other incredibly significant factors like his family background that has influenced him since childhood, such as his deeply conservative Republican background. So when President Trump says he was on the left, he is misleading conservative Republican Americans. Number two, the second false claim is that Kirk's murder is the direct fault of the Democrats, or that somehow Democrats organized and orchestrated this horrific murder. First, there is no proof whatsoever that Democrats planned or plotted the death of Charlie Kirk. Unfortunately, some right-leaning social media personalities have taken this accusation a step further to claim that Democrats are literally at war with Republicans and have called on conservative and Republican voters to get ready to fight. And they are not saying this metaphorically speaking. Fox News host Jesse Waters, conservative activist Alex Jones, Elon Musk, Senator Lindsey Graham, Representative Nancy Mace, and President Trump have all put the full blame of Charlie Kirk's death onto Democrats. First of all, not only is this the kind of talk raising the temperature, but it ignores the fact that all of congressional Democrats have condemned the shooting of Charlie Kirk and used this opportunity to condemn all political violence, just as many Republicans have done. I want to take a moment to call out the hypocrisy among some congressional Republicans and conservative media as it relates to political violence. When a Democrat says anything that resembles violent rhetoric or hate speech, they receive immediate backlash from the leaders in the Democratic Party. Hate speech and violent rhetoric is universally condemned by congressional Democrats, and Democratic leadership demands they make a public apology. However, this doesn't consistently happen when a Democratic elected official is the victim of political violence. I want to give an example. In October of 2022, a Trump supporter broke into Nancy Pelosi's house, intending to harm her, perhaps even kill her. Her husband, Paul, was the only one home, so the intruder attacked him with a hammer. When the medics arrived, he had to be immediately hospitalized. A number of Republican elected officials in Congress condemned the attack and said that all political violence had no place in America, and good for them. But there were other Republican elected officials and conservative media personalities who made jokes, who mocked and spread conspiracy theories about the assault on Paul Pelosi's life. Some of those Republicans included Representative Clay Higgins, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Carrie Lake, Tucker Carlson, Don Jr., Donald Trump, and yes, even Charlie Kirk. Kirk himself made light of the assault on his show and joked that someone in his audience should bail Paul Pelosi's attacker out of jail. Let me reiterate that if a Democrat in Congress or a left-leaning media personality says anything close to that, they would receive immediate public backlash. Why do Republican politicians or right-leaning news media continue to get away with this kind of rhetoric? Why does our president continue to get away with it? If you are a conservative or Republican voter, please don't excuse this kind of behavior. It contributes to this environment where political rhetoric turns into political violence. Now, are all Republicans in Congress spreading this false claim about Democrats? No. To be fair, there are Republican congressmen and senators who are lowering the temperature and not shifting blame to all Democrats. Number 3, a third false claim that has been circulating among Republican politicians and right-leaning media is the claim that Tyler Robinson's transgender views somehow led him to become a killer. This myth is usually shared alongside another myth, and that's the false claim that being transgender somehow makes someone more violent or prone to violence. Let me just say that a person's gender identity or sexual identity does not make someone a killer. Having transgender views or being transgender does not make someone more prone to violence. And there is no medical or scientific evidence whatsoever that proves any connection between being transgender and being prone to violence. It's a myth. So stop spreading this false claim. Those who spread this myth are inspiring and inciting violence against transgender people, whether you are intending to or not. When you spread this false claim, you are putting a target on them because there will undoubtedly be unstable people who will hear this claim and it will incite them to violence. It will inspire them to commit violence. So stop it. We need to lower the temperature of hate and bigotry and violence. Yes, the facts are that Tyler Robinson's roommate is transgender and that they were in a romantic relationship with Robinson. But according to the Republican Utah governor, Robinson's trans roommate has been incredibly cooperative with the authorities and was completely unaware that Robinson was planning to carry out the murder of Charlie Kirk until after it had happened. Let me share a couple of brief stats. Nearly 100% of political assassination attempts in U.S. history were carried out by white, heterosexual males. Most mass shootings in the United States were carried out by heterosexual males. Number 4, the fourth and final false claim that I want to address is this. It's the myth that there really isn't anything that can be done about political violence. This myth was recently suggested by Republican Senator John Kennedy, and it's been a talking point of Republican politicians for decades. He's right only in this sense. If things remain the way that they are, then yes, nothing can be done. But Senator Kennedy is wrong. If Republicans are willing to join Democrats, then Congress can pass a bipartisan common sense gun bill. Listen, I'm not against guns. My dad served in the military. I grew up in a fairly rural area where friends in high school would go hunting with their dads or go to the range to do target practice. I repeat, I am not against Americans having guns as long as they practice responsible gun ownership. So what common sense gun laws am I talking about? Here are 10 common sense gun laws that could be included in a congressional bill or separated perhaps into several bills. Number 1, require nationwide universal background checks. Common sense. Number 2, require a mandatory waiting period between the purchase of a gun and the transfer of the gun to the buyer until a background check is fully cleared. and eliminate the Charleston loophole. Common sense. Number 3, pass nationwide red flag laws, or ERPOs, that require temporary firearm removal from individuals deemed a danger to themselves or others by a court. Red flag laws are already in 21 states, but we should make this a nationwide mandate. Common sense. Number 4, ban all assault rifles. Listen, there is no good reason why an assault rifle, which has the capacity to be fully automatic, should be in the public square. These guns have been used in a number of mass shootings over the last 30 plus years. Why? Because an assault rifle has the ability to kill a large number of people in a short amount of time. It's time to completely ban assault rifles. It's just common sense. Number 5, ban high-capacity magazines for similar reasons as number 4. Simply put, in a mass shooting, it can lead to more deaths in a short amount of time. Common sense. Number 6, ban bump stocks, which increase the firing rate of semi-automatics. Common sense. Number 7, mandatory safe storage laws. Gun owners should be required in every state to lock their firearms in a secure location in the house and not give the key to minors. Common sense. Number 8, mandatory training and licensing for all gun owners. Every gun owner should know how to use a gun and how to practice gun safety. Common sense. Number 9, more funding for community violence intervention. Common sense. Number 10, more funding for mental health resources. Common sense. Passing these 10 laws and giving law enforcement the authority to enforce them will literally save lives, because it will hold gun sellers and gun owners more accountable to the public and be responsible with their guns. This is just common sense. The awful truth is that if common sense gun laws had been passed years ago, it's very possible that the assassination of Charlie Kirk wouldn't have happened. I can think of at least a few of these common sense gun laws that could have prevented Tyler Robinson from carrying out this horrible act of gun violence. If you're new to this channel, please hit like, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe underneath the video for more breakdowns like this. It's completely free. Thank you.